I'm sick of that quiet crap. Tired. Understandable. Trey, go.
If for some reason I didn't get the project for, how big of an effect does that have on?
Well, it's not due till Thursday.
Yeah, I know, but I've been working on the exams and everything, and I finally realized that I forgot to do project.
Well, run the math. You can run it. It's 25 points total.
And since I've done like more extra quizzes and things like that, will those come into play at all, or is that?
Kind of, sort of. So the extra quizzes also become part of your point total. So they de-emphasize the 25 points. It wouldn't be as high a percent. If you didn't do any extra quizzes, if you just did 10 quizzes, 2 exams, and 4 projects, that's 400 total points.
Okay.
So if you take one of those 25 points out of there, the percentage effect is 25 out of 400, which would be, what would that be, 6%, I guess, overall.
Okay.
But with every additional quiz you put in there, that 25 points is out of a larger total.
Okay.
So if you did an extra, just make the math easy, an extra 10 quizzes, which, I mean, you could theoretically do, but I don't think anybody ever does.
Yeah.
Then it's 25 points out of 500, which is only 5 percentage point difference. So every additional quiz you do does knock down the percentage that it's worth. It's not a magnificent amount, but it is a little bit.
Well, I just didn't want to take me out of an A in case I don't.
I don't think it will, because if you think about it, you have to lose 10% of your total points to get yourself knocked out of a letter grade. So if you do 400 total points, 40 points lost knocks you down to a B, 40 more points lost knocks you down to a C, 40 more points knocks you down to a D, and so forth. So you've obviously done more than the 10 quizzes, so I'm guessing that you've
13 or 14.
13, so you're at 430 points, or 440 points, which means 44 points knocks you down. So you can actually lose more points and still stay in the A range.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, because I'm going to drop like a 95 or 96 right
You're probably sitting pretty comfortably. I would say use the grade calculator to mess with that.
Thank you.
now. Okay.
For sure. Lydia, thank you. I didn't realize I had done this, but on your exam, which is not due till next week, I screwed up the numbering. It doesn't matter. I'll be grading them. Thank you for catching though. I will fix it when I retype it up for if I decide to reuse those again. So there's 2 number 2s. It goes 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, I guess. So thank you, but it's all good. I'll pay close attention. Also on that, and thank you, Lydia, and somebody else actually asked me this question too. When you go to the very last question, there was a little bit of confusion about one of my instructions. I say I mentioned, I think it's 38%. I got this number 38% by taking $10,500 and dividing it by the average in part 1. And the idea of that is it's the average you calculated in part 1. That's actually mentioned a couple sentences back. So if you haven't gotten to that question yet, don't worry. But just realize when you get to that question, make sure you're using the average you calculated, and then you'll get the same percentage that I did. And without the rounding, yeah, that's totally fine. Yeah, and being off by 1 percentage point isn't much, but being off by 10, that was concerning. So make sure you're using your calculated average, not, because the problem is, I can't trust their average without knowing how they got it. But if I can tie it to data, then I can trust that average. So that's the point. If this doesn't make any sense to you whatsoever, it will when you look at the exam. Which is not due until next Thursday.
Is that number 8 that you're talking about, the very last one?
Is it? Yes. Maybe. It's the one that I should go back and looking at a breakdown of number 1. I'm going to guess it's 5. Number 5? Number 4? I don't know. Last page, I think.
That's number 5.
Number 5, thank you, Cheyenne.
This is the easiest class I have.
Number 5. Cool? So make sure you're actually doing the calculation of you're using your calculated average, not the stated average. You can prove where your average came from. They can't prove where theirs came from. I can't prove where theirs came from either because I can't find the data they used to calculate it. So, okay? All right, so thank you for those emails. I appreciate that. Looking at this week, there's 2 quizzes I think posted for Thursday. I got 1 more planned for in-class. I've got it. We might do it today. We might have to do it next Thursday. We'll see how today goes as far as time goes. We might start it today and finish it on Thursday. Either way, 1 more in-class quiz. So if you're looking at your numbers, there's 3 more quizzes that are out there. 2 for Thursday and this one here. So hopefully nobody needs more than 3. Otherwise I start counting against you, which kind of sucks. Don't forget, Thursday's also the last day for turning in those corrections, exam and quiz if you want to correct one of those. They're not worth anything unless you use them. You have to use them to get the points for them. Not like a project. The project was just to get a jail-free card. You can still use it, of course, on Thursday. Just try not to forget to do it on Thursday. That way you can keep the 5 extra credit points. Mikhail, you got a question, I thought. It looked like it.
It did look like it.
Oh, it did? It did?
I was just wondering if you're going to bring up the project you wanted to take.
I did.
Okay.
So don't forget to do it. And don't wait till Wednesday night at midnight to start it. Just in case you need more time than that to actually get it done. Because chances are I won't get your email until, well, after class is over on Thursday. So, cool? No class a week from today. You have your last meeting, i.e. your final exam, in here next Thursday, but there's no class on Tuesday. Okay, I'm going to post office hours for next week at some point today. I'll put them up. I'm probably going to have them all on Tuesday, on Monday, like from like 9 to 2 or something, a big block of time, just because my Tuesday is evaporating quickly, and Wednesday and Thursday I have exams, so, or whatever the last meetings. So, probably put them all on Monday, in case you get stuck.
Same time Thursday?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's on the schedule page. I'm pretty sure it's 10:15. Yeah. You shouldn't be here very long. I don't believe in cumulative finals, as you see. Well, I don't believe in in-class cumulative finals, but I do have to have you do something, and I'm developing a survey so I can collect some data from you guys to see how the class was and what you would suggest, that kind of stuff. And thank you, anybody. I haven't gotten them yet, but if anybody did the COCC evals, I appreciate that. You guys got the links about that? I appreciate. Thank you for doing that. If you still can and you haven't, I'd love to hear the data there. I make my own surveys because I can ask much more pointed questions about this class versus general questions that COCC tends to answer. So that's what I'll have you guys doing next week. So just don't let stuff get away from you, I guess is the big thing in the end. A bunch of stuff to turn in the next couple weeks, or the next week, I guess, week and a half. Make sure it doesn't get away from you. Cool? What else? That's it for now. What questions you guys have? Or concerns? Or just, please, Eric.
I couldn't find the Tower of Terror on that website you had.
You couldn't find a Tower of Terror.
It wasn't labeled as Tower of Terror, it's called something else.
Oh, it is?
Well, it's Tower of Terror, but it's not just that, it's like MGM Tower of Terror with something on the end, and it is the Tower of Terror, but I think it's called something else.
So look again, is what I'm hearing. It's there, but it's got more than just those 3 words on it. So you said you did see it, Lydia?
Yeah.
Maybe chit-chat with Eric at break, give him the same thing. So it's there, maybe it has more than just Tower of Terror there, but it sounds like it's there. It was there a couple weeks ago when I checked, unless they've changed it in the past 2 weeks. Okay? So it sounds like it's there. Good. And that's good to check too, because I mean stuff does get changed online. We just recently checked the 244 M&M color distributions, and they're no longer posted online. I downloaded it when they were, saved it, and they still claimed it, but it's amazing. These corporate sites change all the time. So if you do find something that you want to use in a database analysis, grab it and keep it. Don't let it go away. Grab it, keep it, source it, and date it. And that way you can always refer back to it if you need to. And this goes past Tower of Terror and M&Ms. Of course, it goes into your guys' jobs when you actually start crunching your own numbers. Other questions, concerns?
I have
Yes.
a concern or a question.
Question.
Are we going to discuss more? I know I read through the project stuff.
Uh-huh.
Are we going to discuss more on that stuff in class?
Hell no. Standalone all by itself.
Really?
Tell me what you're concerned about.
I can't comprehend it. I can't comprehend what to do with those certain percentages and how we were supposed to add them, subtract them. I can't understand.
Yes and yes.
what we're
Sometimes
supposed to do
multiply and
with
divide
it.
too.
Yeah.
I would say.
I've been to tutoring. I'm going again
Oh,
tonight.
it
but I
depends. Read them again. Then visit me in office hours if you need more time. We can sit down and do it for sure. But try it again. You want to make sure that you're reading anything mathematical or scientific or something like that is totally different than reading any other kind of topic. I've noticed that there's not something called the mathematics channel. And I was, for years, I'm like, there's a history channel, right? There's a geography channel. Why is there no mathematics channel? And I realized, number one, nobody would watch it. And number two, you can't learn math like you learn other stuff. Like, honestly, history, you can pretty much just read and learn as you go. But that's not how you learn anything mathematical. Mathematical, you read a chunk, you stop, you process, you think, you go back and look at it again, you try something. Then you go, okay, I got that much. Try a little bit further. Oh, stuck again. Go back, look at the first part again. Try that again. That's the best thing I can do. I've resculpted that thing a half a dozen times over the past 10 years to get it to the point it is now. And did you watch the YouTube video that was tied to the one of them? That's another resource that's there. I made a YouTube video to solve one of the problems. Watch that to hear me talk through one. And then come see me in the office if you get stuck.
Okay.
But it is definitely a standalone thing. It's so different than everything else we're doing right now that I don't want to bring it into class. I want to keep class consistently on bell curves right now. And their bell curves don't make an exclusive appearance in that. Okay? Give it a shot again.
All right.
Yes. And definitely watch the videos, look at all the examples. Don't read it like a history document. Go back and forth, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Please.
I saw like a temperature, like January through December, and it was like a bell curve, but it was upside down. So like the outsides were high, and like the middle was low.
So it did this?
Yeah. So
Temperature or daylight?
temperature. Like
Oh, so this is June and this is December. Oh, gotcha.
still bell curve.
Well, I mean, that's just how they decided to. It's trigonometric versus bell. Great question, Zach. If you chop this here and take this and stick it over here, which is it's just deciding where they decide to start the curve. Mm-hmm. If you start at January and go January to December, it could look like a bell curve. It's just they chose to start at June and go June to July. I'm assuming.
Right.
And actually, it's not a bell curve by definition. It's a sine curve, which if you take in trigonometry, this might make sense to some of you guys. It's a function of the angle of the sun and the sky, and basically in the winter, in the December 21st, the winter solstice is the shortest day we have. June 21st, coming up on it, the summer solstice is the longest day we have. And you guys probably have noticed this, I'm sure you did, that now the sun's rising in the northeast, whereas in the dead of winter it was rising in the southeast. So now when I leave my house in the morning, the sun's rising up by Smith Rock, at least from where my house is looking, where in the dead of winter it was rising, well after I left the house, but it was rising southeast, like down by China Hat Road. So in the wintertime it does this, and the summertime it does this. And it's just it's in the sky longer, and therefore we warm up more. So it's kind of a function of that length of time in the sky, which is a function of the angle at which the sun is, which makes it trigonometric. Which does kind of look like a bell. Not exactly, and that's not the only factor, but that's a large factor. So you can argue statistically that it's a bell, but I'm not sure that would get you anything, and here's why. This is coming to this point. You can call it bell-shaped data, but the question is, what's on the horizontal axis?
Days of the month.
Days of the month or months of the year, which isn't numerical, so it wouldn't gain you anything to actually talk about it as a bell shape. Does that make sense? Because usually we ask something like, today we're looking at human pregnancy. When do we induce labor? When is a baby premature? Well, that's based on quantitative data, length of the pregnancy. This is just qualitative data, so you really can't attach any numerical analysis to it. Does that make sense, Zach? Totally awesome, though. Totally awesome. And did you notice that, you probably did, it ramps up, it does this and then ramps up pretty quickly. Did you notice that the days started getting faster, getting longer much faster in the spring? In the depths of winter, it's like, oh my God, is it ever going to get warm again? February, March, it's really depressing. And all of a sudden, and plants start coming out, and the birds start singing, the bees start coming out again, and then all of a sudden in the fall it drops off again, and then we start getting depressed because Bachelor's going to open. Yeah, Lydia, go ahead.
I thought that thing called the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror.
The Twilight? Oh, is that what it's called? The Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. There we go. Somebody else must have. And it is based on the movie. That's right. It's based on the movie The Twilight Zone. That's right. I forgot about that. Who's on the Tower of Terror? It's a great ride. Yeah, super fun. Super fun. Yes. I found that if you scream the entire time, it holds your stomach in place. So I love looking at the pictures afterwards. They take a picture of you in various places, and it's usually me going. I don't ever sit next to me going. So I always enjoy that. Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. There's your. So did I give you the link in the document?
Yeah.
Or did I just tell you to Google it? Oh, so I gave you the link. Okay, great. So it's there. Excellent. Right. Cool. Thank you, Zach, for that. Much appreciated. Other comments, concerns? Love the timings. It's good. Qualitative data is tricky. I just thanked you guys for doing my student evals if you did them, and I encourage you to do them if you didn't do them. One of the reasons I asked you to do them is because I want to hear your comments that you write in, that you take in. One thing I always ignore is I call them qualitative, the school calls them quantitative, when you do the ranking systems. I don't know what the questions are anymore, but scale of 1 to 5. How do you rank? Blah, blah, scale of 1 to 5, scale of 1 to 5, scale. That sounds quantitative. It's not. 1 is strongly disagree and 5 is strongly agree. And then at the end of the day, they average those numbers. And I have to ask, what does it mean to average agree with disagree? What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything, right? It doesn't mean anything at all. But the school likes the averages. So I ignore those completely, and I just go with what your guys' comments are, which is what I care about more anyway. Those kinds of qualitative, important data points to me. It's where I get a lot of my ideas from.
So they give your feelings a mathematical value?
No, they give your feelings,
Yeah.
yes.
Right.
Essentially, they create a scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1 through 7 or something, where disagree is 1, agree, or strongly disagree is 1, strongly agree is whatever the high number is,
Right.
Neutral is in the middle. And then that's fine, I got no problem with that. The problem I have is when they add all those numbers up and average them. Because if you think about it, there's a way to deal with those numbers. It's just not using an average. You could use a mode. You can totally use, I've argued for that for years. Stop using an average and use a mode. Because a mode just says, which one of those showed up the most? Oh, this person got more strongly agrees than anything else. That's fine. And it's funny because I've actually had this discussion with my colleagues. This was about 2 years ago. But somebody actually said, as long as you're going up for promotions, as long as you average a 7 on all your responses, you'll get promoted. And I'm like, you do realize it's impossible to average a 7 unless you get all 7s. 7 was the highest number back when they were paper and pencil. 1 through 7, 7 is strongly agree. As long as you average a 7, you get promoted. I'm like, it's impossible to average 7 unless you get all 7s. As soon as one person votes for something lower than 7, the average goes down. So imagine you got a bunch of 7s and a 1, and then the average can't be 7, how can it? And I said this, and the person just looked at me, glazed over, what I said right over their head. I'm like, holy crap.
Yes.
Nobody understands statistics except us. And that makes me sad. That makes me sad. So I said, well, just use the mode instead of the average. What's a mode? Holy crap. This is America. What's a mode? Can you count? Yes. Then you know what a mode is. Huh? If I told you how happy I am that you're sitting in this class with me for the past 10 weeks, I'm very, very happy about that, because at least you can go and understand these things. Maybe you don't think of them off the top of your head. That's okay. Freaks like me are doing that. But as long as you understand the problem with it and the existence in the world of it, that's what I'm concerned about. So anyway, yes, a little micro lesson today. Do your evals for me so I can get some damn qualitative data and read what you have to say. All right, rant over.